Hey, welcome back to the channel. I am really glad you're here because today I'm going to show you how I poured this small concrete pad. This video is a little longer than some of the others, but that's because I take you through a multi-day project. Only you won't know it when you watch the video because I wore the same thing and did laundry every day. You're going to say, well, that's amazing he did all that in such a short time. But anyway, today's video is going to take you step by step how I made this small concrete pad. And show you a new piece of equipment that we have on the homestead here, which is the Mudmixer cement mixer, which I think you're going to really enjoy seeing that if you've not seen that before. So please stick around. I think this video is informational, somewhat entertaining, and easy to watch. So here we go. Now, I am not a concrete person. In fact, one could argue that I don't even know what I'm doing. But I've seen enough that I think I can figure this out. What my plan is to dig out an area with the tractor about 4 or 5 inches deep. I'm going to pour a 4-inch pad. So I'll go with like a 5x5 area, and then I'll form it out. And do I need to put crushed stone underneath for a base? I don't know. This is not a critical pour. You know, this is just a pad to go under my compost bin to keep grass from growing up. But I want it to last. I want it to look nice and be a good job. I don't want it to settle into the ground and tilt. So we'll see when we get to that point. But the first thing we're going to do is kind of cut out the area, and then we can look at how we're going to build the forms and go from there. When we get to the pour, that's the exciting part that I'm waiting for. As much as I hate using a shovel, sometimes there's really nothing better for doing some precise work. Well, I'm not really concerned too much about the level here because I do think I'm going to put some crushed stone in here because I think that'll make it easier to level out. So I've got a low spot here, a high spot behind me. It's not too bad for being, just starting out just with a visual. So I'm just going to scoop some of the dirt from this back corner here. And I'm just going to throw it into the front corner here. Then we'll just rake it out. The pros, of course, have a gas-powered vibratory compactor. I've got this cast iron compactor. And it's better than nothing at all. For a fleeting moment, I was thinking about making the pad bigger than 4 foot by 4 foot, maybe 5 by 5. But then I realized I've got these 2x4s that are 8 feet long. If I made the pad 5 by 5, I'd have to waste a lot of wood. So by just cutting these 8-footers in half, I'll be able to make a 4 by 4 square. So we'll go with that. Now, because I cut all the 8-foot boards in half, if I build this like a wall with 2 pieces going up and 1 across, it's going to make my form like 45 by 48. So instead I'm going to screw the top of that one to the side of that one, and then the side of that one to the top of that one, sort of like a continuous, I don't know how to explain it. I'll show you a picture here. You can see on this side, this board is on top of that board. But instead of putting this board on top of that board, I'm going to move this to the side so it goes to the inside of that board. And on the last piece, it'll all just work out. Trust me, it'll all just work out. Nice. Now that's too low, so I'm going to bring some stone in, raise it up. That'll give it a good foundation. And I think it's going to be great. So what I'm going to get here is the crushed concrete. And that should make like a nice base. They say this stuff really packs down nice. It's almost like gravel. That should work well. That's a half ton?
Yeah, that's 0.54.
Wow, okay. Yeah, I'll definitely take that. I'll be honest, I felt kind of dumb in there because they're asking, what do I want? How much do I want? I wasn't quite sure. I told them I was pouring a little concrete pad, and they said, well, you know, you can buy the ton, and they said you could get, you know, a quarter ton, half ton. I said, well, I don't know what a half ton looks like. So now I know what a half ton looks like, and I think that's going to be more than enough to do what we want to do. Well, I'm going to leave this parked in the driveway, and that way I can scoop the material off of the trailer, and if I spill any off to the side, it'll just land in the driveway and add to the driveway fill. Perfect plan. Well, I hope this works. My idea was fill the box with the fill, and then that'll give me 4 inches of fill, and then lift the box up and put it on top of the fill. I might have put a little too much in here, but I wanted to go around the sides as well. That might actually work out just as planned. Boy, this crushed concrete is actually pretty nice. It has some pretty big pieces in it, but it also has a really fine, almost like a dirt consistency, and that will pack down really nicely. Whew. You know, what sounds like a simple little afternoon project turns into something a lot more involved. You know what's harder than I thought? Leveling the forms. That's pretty hard. That one's perfect. That one's close to perfect. That one's close to perfect also. Holy smokes, they're great. It's actually leaning forward a little bit, which is what I wanted. That's pretty nice. Pretty nice indeed. Now, of course, I need to get a tape measure and measure corner to corner, and that's how you square it up. If you have equal number there and equal number there, you know it's square, and you can rack it to get your squareness. And just like that, we are ready for concrete. You know, this started out as a simple project, at least in my mind. I was thinking, oh, I'm just gonna dig out 4 inches of dirt, lay down some forms, pour some concrete, and be done. But as I got into it, I wanted to do it right, so I'm glad I laid the base down. And then leveling those boards is kind of tricky, but now we're ready for the concrete, and I think that is gonna be pretty fun and hopefully pretty easy. So this is the Mudmixer, and let me tell you, this is a high quality piece of equipment. This is made for everyday use on a commercial job site. It's really well made. There was some assembly required when I received it, but it was pretty straightforward and pretty easy to put together by myself. A lot of great quality hardware here. It looks like most of the bolts, if not all the bolts, are stainless steel. This one has the optional hopper extension, which allows you to add multiple bags of concrete. It also has the optional chute extension, and this does a number of things. First of all, it obviously extends the length of the chute, but it also drops down so that you can not splash as much concrete. If you want to have it lower to your form, you can adjust it. And there are 3 different places. You can have a high setting, a medium, and a low. So that's a really nice optional accessory. It has never flat tires, which are nice and big. It's also very well balanced and easy to move around the work site. Let me show you the control panel. The control panel is really straightforward. You only have 2 controls here. You have a weatherproof switch. When you hit the forward button, it engages the auger and activates the water injectors. When you hit stop, everything stops. If for some reason you need to reverse the auger, you can just tap the reverse button. And then you have the water valve here, and this adjusts from 0 to 100, and you can adjust and get the consistency of your concrete exactly the way you want it. Well, it looks like I am ready to go. I've got my 2x4 there for screeding the concrete once we pour it into the forms. I've got a finishing trowel and an edger, and I've got 12 bags of ready mixed concrete. What's nice is that the Mudmixer website has a calculator built in that you can type in the size of your form, and it will tell you how many bags of concrete you need. Even gives you different options for 50-pound bags, 60s, 80s, so whatever you need there. So I bought 12 bags based on the calculator. Normally I would probably buy a bag or 2 extra just to be safe, but I have a couple bags in the barn, so we'll be fine there. So we'll go with the 12 bags and see how accurate the calculator is. And just like that, we are ready to start pouring from our own portable concrete mixing plant. First bag. And remember, we're only putting dry mix in this hopper. We don't add water at all. And also, as is often the case, it's the simple things that make all the difference. One of the most talked about features of this Mudmixer is the integrated bag breaker. You don't have to cut the bag or anything. You just drop it onto this blade, it splits the bag and drops the concrete in. Let's try it. That's it, pretty easy. I'm going to start out with the water setting at 50. There it comes. Might take a little while to get the consistency right. Now I'm up to 75. I probably should have poured a little amount off to the side. It's looking pretty good now. It takes a while to get the, I guess, to get the consistency right. Let's dial it back to 50. This is such a small form, I'm actually going to take the chute extension off for this project. That hose is handy. Now that's looking good. Slump test. Looking really nice now. You know, initially it looked like not a whole lot comes out, but you have to keep working it. So if it came out much faster than that, I'd probably have a hard time keeping up here. Right now I'm running at about 60% water, or 60 on the dial there. It's a little wet, but I'm trying to get the corners and the edges so they don't have air pockets in them or stones. I'm trying to settle in the edges here. That's actually a pretty nice consistency. Well, I'm at 10 bags, and I'm thinking we may not even need 12. Yeah, it really looks like we're not going to need more than 10 bags. And there's still probably half a bag inside if we need more. No two ways about it. Concrete is not easy work. And I guess that's the goal, is to find ways and equipment that make it easier. But easier does not mean easy. Well, that looks nice. Let me go over a few initial thoughts here while I catch my breath. First of all, like I said, concrete work is not easy. These are only 60-pound bags, so I'm glad I did not get 80s. But still, they're nice to use with this machine. Bag breaker, absolutely a great thing. You just drop the bag on there and it just tears it right open for you. That is really a nice feature to have. And then, again, it's so simple to have. I don't know what's going on here. I've got a lot of dry mix that somehow came out the back end. And I don't know where that's coming from. Maybe that's supposed to be there for some kind of, I don't know. I don't know where that came from. But that was a pretty big pile of dry mix at the back of the machine. So I don't know what that's about. Coming out the front here, it was difficult to get the consistency right. I don't know why I can't say that word. It was difficult to get the consistency right, but it seemed like after running for a while, it really worked out well. I was running at about 50, 60 on the dial here for consistency. So that seemed to work out pretty well. I found that it did jam a couple of times, so you have to be kind of standing by and ready for that to happen. So when it did jam, I immediately turned it off. But when you turn it back on, there was a rush of loose mix, because when it jams, the auger stops, but the water keeps being added. So that's why you want to be ready at all times. If you hear it jam up, you've got to stop it immediately. Otherwise, you're pouring water in and messing up your mix. So it jammed up 2 or 3 times. Again, it seemed like in the beginning, maybe it kind of self-lubricates. But once it was running consistently, it was really nice. And again, the mix was coming out. It looks like it's just dribbling out of there. But the fact is, I was having a hard time keeping up with it. And I thought this was going to be the perfect project because it was a nice small 4x4 pad. But as it turns out, I think a bigger project would even be better yet, because then you have a little more time to drag the material out and work with it. Up here, there's a good amount of dry mix as well that just hasn't been mixed in. That'll all clean off, but there's going to be a good amount of cleanup to do here. And the one question I had, and maybe you have this question too, is when the project is done and you've got a bag of mix left in the hopper, what do you do with it? I don't know. I assume you just have to run it out, you know, make a pile somewhere, just like they do when you have a truck on site and they have extra, they have to dump the truck. So you do have to dump out the extra, and I suppose you'd have that if you mixed it up in a cement mixer as well. So other than that, we're going to let this sit for a little bit longer, and then I'm going to run the finish trowel on it. Well, here's the use for the extra concrete. Last winter, when the house was unoccupied, we had a groundhog take residence under this deck and even burrowed under this shallow foundation a little bit. So I'm going to dig out his loose dirt here and just pour the concrete down along the foundation. And won't he be surprised if he comes back? Well, while I'm waiting for the concrete to cure up a little bit so I can finish trowel it, I'm going to take this opportunity to clean up the machine. I've unplugged the power so that we don't want to get electrocuted, of course. And I'm going to take this hopper extension off and take off this guard. Simple pull of a pin and slides right off. Then we can just hose it all down. However, I think I do want to make sure that it's tilted forward. So I'm going to take this 2x4 and lay it underneath. There. Like any concrete tool, you want to get it as clean as you possibly can and don't leave any residual concrete because it will harden up. You also don't want to spray directly into the motor. Basically, we just want to keep cleaning it until the water runs clear. All right, let's see how this is looking. I think this is also a skill that looks easy when you see somebody else do it, and then you try it yourself, and it's not so easy. I was worried that it was too soon to do this. Apparently not. If you are an experienced concrete person, this is probably painful to watch, right? But I'm learning as I go. How do you get rid of the marks? How do you do that? Probably when it dries or cures and isn't wet anymore, those will probably almost disappear, I'm guessing. I gotta say, that's looking pretty good. Now, what you just witnessed was a guy with very little concrete experience and no mud mixer experience. This was my very first use with this piece of equipment. Now, I'll tell you this, it doesn't make the job easy, but it makes it easier for sure. I know that mixing up concrete with a cement mixer, or even worse yet, mixing it in a wheelbarrow, which is how I've done it in the past, just put the bag in the wheelbarrow, add water, use a hoe and mix it in, and that is really a pain in the neck. And to be doing that every few minutes with a new bag, this is great because you just keep dumping the bags in and it just comes out. Now, I did have some trouble getting the consistency right, and I don't know if that was because it's a new machine or because I just need to work with it a little bit more, but I did eventually get it to the point where it was putting out a really nice consistent mix. So I feel like next time I use this, it's going to go a lot smoother. I was able to add cement along the foundation of the house easily. Just wheeled it over there. I dumped another bag in, turned it on, and out it came. So again, this is a little concrete mixing plant all in one right here. I like it a lot, and I'm looking forward to using it over and over again. The pad turned out really well, and I'm getting ready to take the forms off of that, and we'll see how it looks. All right, 24 hours later, we can get these forms off. Perfect. You know, doing a project right takes time, and it's well worth it in the end. Now, concrete work is not easy work, no matter how you do it, because there's a lot of manual labor. That's just how it is. But I'll tell you, that mud mixer made the project go a lot smoother, and it was really fun to use. I'm looking forward to doing future projects with it. This was my first one, so it was maybe a little bit awkward for me because I wasn't used to it yet. But by the time I got to the fourth bag or so, I felt really confident using that machine. So I hope that you'll subscribe to the channel to see future projects. If you have any ideas for the mud mixer for projects that you have questions about, let me know in the comments. I'll see what I can do. I certainly want to thank Mudmixer for sending that to me to check out here on the channel. And again, I'm looking forward to doing some future projects with it. If you want to check out the Mudmixer, please use the link in the description or in the comments section. It's a specific link that's tied to this channel. I don't get any commission or payment for that. It's just nice for Mudmixer to know where you heard about the unit, and that would be nice for them to know that you heard about it right here. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I know that this video was longer than the others, but it was a fun project. So thanks for being here, and I look forward to seeing you next time.